Welcome back to another podcast. Today I have my friend Cormac here, and he's a tech expert, and we're going to talk about Bitcoin versus real estate. So if you're interested in cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Web3, he's the man. So we're going to talk about the differences between why should you invest in Bitcoin, why should you invest in real estate. We're going to hear about Cormac's story, how did he got into Bitcoin, into cryptocurrency, and what's his business about and what are his future plans. So I'm excited. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm super stoked.
Yeah, so let's do a quick introduction for the people that don't know you. Who are you, where are you from, and tell us a bit more about your background.
Sure, so my name's Cormac Guerin. I'm a founder of a Web3 company. We say Web3 or crypto. So I'm Irish, from Ireland originally. I've lived a long time in Asia, over 10 years in Japan. And then also I have worked at like some of the big tech companies like Google, Sun Microsystems. So I kind of started out in a tech role in Ireland. Then I joined Sun Microsystems, which was like kind of one of the really early pioneering Silicon Valley companies. So like from Sun Microsystems, the eventually CEO of Google would come from at one point from Sun. They made like a lot of the chips and they were powering a lot of the infrastructure in various different industries. So like I was building technology there, software in that company, and then moved to Japan. I was really interested in living in Japan and got a job at Google. Luckily Sun got bought over by Oracle Corporation, and then like Google were like, we want to hire all the Sun employees basically. So that was kind of an easy way to get into Google. Yeah. They wanted to hire us because they knew like Sun had some of the best engineers around.
I see.
So I got a job in Tokyo, worked there for 10 years in Google in Japan, working on search technology. So I was working on search engine, like stack, the actual C code and stuff like that, and debugging it. And all various different things I worked on in Google over the years. But I'd say I built up quite a repertoire of like tech experience over the years.
And then during your time as corporate, you started investing, you saw cryptocurrency was coming up.
It's interesting actually. Yeah, I skipped one step. When I went to Japan at the beginning, I actually worked at a hedge fund. Okay. For a short time, about 1 year, in the tech area.
So you were investing for that hedge fund?
Not investing. I was running the servers. It was like infrastructure stuff, right?
I see.
And the guys who were working there, they were kind of a startup as well. But they were like, that's where I first came across Bitcoin. This is very soon after Bitcoin was launched, actually. Yeah. It's way back in the beginning.
Which year was it again?
It would have been like 2011.
Okay.
Yeah. And like there was actually an exchange called Mt. Gox in Japan. So some of the guys were connected to this exchange. This was the first Bitcoin exchange in the world, actually from Japan. In Japan. Oh, really? So Japan has some kind of connection to Bitcoin from the really early days. And like also like just because Satoshi Nakamoto is like the founder, supposedly pseudonym of the founder of Bitcoin. So that's where I first came across it, and then I was, I'm really into IRC and all the tech stuff. So people were talking about Bitcoin, I was like, what's this? Interesting, and I totally ignored it. Okay, like for like 5 years basically. I was like, I read the code and stuff. I was like, that's interesting, but like, I always thought like this thing is going to get hacked. Like it's not going to survive because like, I think it's a problem being an engineer. You always see the flaws in things, and I was like, this thing's never going to like survive. And then it was like 2017. I was like, this thing's still going, and like the price is just going up all the time. So like I started to really get interested in around 2017. I started to buy in 2018. So that was when I first made my purchase into it.
I see. Yeah. Actually, for me, the first time I think I heard about Bitcoin was around 2017.
Okay. Yeah.
That was like
yeah.
And then I remember I was like traveling, and like I met this family. They sold all their stuff and I put it in Bitcoin.
Oh, okay.
So I was like, oh, that's interesting, you know.
Is that like the Dutch family?
No, they were not Dutch. I think they were from Australia or whatever.
Okay.
I was in Myanmar, and I met these people, and they're like, they were like heavily in Bitcoin.
Okay.
I remember I called my dad. I was like, you know about Bitcoin? Should I buy this? It's like maybe it's too late, you know, because everyone is already doing it.
Right.
So that's why, and of course, I was also young, so it's not that I had that much money to put into it as well. But that was the first time I heard about it, and at that time I was like, oh, I'm kind of too late. But actually looking back, if I put my money at that time, that was a good time.
Yeah. And I think it's funny because I think about Bitcoin, it's still early actually. I still think it's early in Bitcoin. I do not think we're late even now. Yeah.
So yeah, you were working in a corporate job, and then like on the side you start investing in.
I got really interested in. But as an engineer, what was really interesting, Bitcoin was fascinating, of course. But what really got me interested was this technology called smart contracts, which came about in the Ethereum blockchain.
And when
2015 was when it launched.
Okay.
But
when did it got mainstream? Like
2017 and 18 is when it really started getting like mainstream adoption. And the thing about that was it brings in programmability into blockchain. So like with Bitcoin, you can't really program it. It's just sending transactions, value or whatever you think, right? It's just sending value, right? But with smart contracts, like now we can program it. So now like the autist inside me was like, I really want to understand like how this works, right? And it's also very low level code stuff. It's like assembly and things like this, which I'm really into. So like, it was just like fascinating. Oh wow, this is like a new way to do decentralized computing. And the decentralized computing has been around for a long time. There's a thing called grid computing, which like was studied extensively 25 years ago or so. But it's like, you know, a real application, a new application of that, which was fascinating. So like, I got really interested in programming that, and then they had this NFT craze. And NFTs are built on this technology. So
there was this moment, I think, like around 2020, 2021, NFTs
were like huge.
It was hot. And everything, like they went from like...
Exactly. Like apes, basically. Bored apes, right? Yeah.
I mean, I didn't understand like how they could be valued to that much money. And now, I don't know about the market, but nobody is talking about it.
I think Bored Apes is not doing good, definitely. But there are other projects, like there's like Pudgy Penguins. I don't know if you know.
No.
So there's another project called Pudgy Penguins that is using the NFTs. Okay. And they do it in an they're doing more. So because the technology is so new, people are still trying to experience like Pudgy Penguins.
How to utilize it.
What they do is actually they have toys in Walmart and everything, right? Yeah. So they have a bunch of merchandise. And when you own a penguin, you own a part of the IP. So you can get royalties from sales. So like so you gotta, it's a really new technology. And like that's what my company is in. We have an NFT marketplace in Japan. But also like we're building various other tokenization things and things in the blockchain space.
Tell a bit more about like how did you make your startup and what do you actually do? What kind of service do you provide?
Yeah, sure. So, well, we do Web3 development. So it's smart contract development and various different types of development. We also like have our own platforms like our NFT marketplace. We're building a gaming project in Japan. Yes. NFTs are actually okay in Japan. You can buy and sell NFTs. That's legal. But cryptocurrencies are not because of the fungibility versus the non-fungibility aspect of them, the law.
But you can only buy NFTs by crypto.
Right? Yeah. So you can use crypto to buy, but you cannot launch a coin, right? So you can launch an NFT collection, but you can't launch a coin. We built like a marketplace. I have a new platform out called Thumper actually. If you're interested, check it out, thumper.xyz. And what that is it's a freelancing platform built on blockchain. And when you buy and sell, you use cryptocurrency. So someone wants to buy a service from you, you're a designer, you just pay with crypto. And the smart contracts manage all the order flow. So when someone pays, the funds get locked in the smart contract. Yeah.
So basically, like you have like another platform, they have all these services, I forgot the name.
There's like Fiverr.
That was the first thing that came in my mouth.
It's similar to this, but it's using all decentralized blockchain technology.
And then the payments are with crypto.
All with crypto, stable coins. So you get paid in crypto, and it's built on the Base blockchain. Base is a blockchain by Coinbase. So I've built on that.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And the service providers are in Japan or in?
It's global. Anyone can use it basically. Okay. And it's cool because we don't need to launch any tokens. There's no regulatory problem. Yeah. We're not dealing. It's all decentralized. So we're not like issuer of token or something. We are not. Yeah.
But how do you do the marketing for this project?
Yeah, well, I just launched it. So
you just launched it.
You're doing the marketing.
Yeah, congrats on the launch.
Yeah.
So a lot of different things in development, Web3, crypto. Yeah. I mean, I'm not an expert. I'm learning still. I have some basic knowledge. So for me, it's also cool with this episode, gain more knowledge from you and also to challenge why I as a maybe traditional investor, why I'm maybe less interested in crypto, and the other way around. So I think, so for you, first question is like, okay, why is Bitcoin, why do you think it should be like, because today it's like 95 or 100K, the value, around 100K. Why do you think it should be worth 100K? What determines, of course, it's supply and demand, but
yes,
that's the basics. But yeah, I don't know, for real estate, you kind of, okay, there's certain aspects that determine also the value of a house. Even to build a house costs material and labor.
sure.
But for crypto, of course, yeah, you have the energy that you need to burn to build,
to make it,
to mine the Bitcoin, but for the rest.
So like what gives it its value?
What gives it the value according to you?
Well, I think like, of course, like you said, like it's supply and demand. So like if fundamentally, if people are willing to pay $100,000 or whatever for a Bitcoin, that's what it's worth. But like, why do people think that? I think like you got to get into the mindset of the Bitcoiner basically to really understand why people think this should have this value. I think actually, if we look at real estate, is a kind of the opposite trade, I feel, of Bitcoin. I feel like these things are actually quite opposite trades. They're both assets, right? But when you're buying real estate, you're buying inside of the current fiat financial system. Yeah,
that's the existing.
So when you get a loan from a bank, for example, right? Yeah, traditional currency. The bank basically, this can be disputed, but they basically print up that money to give it to you. So commercial banks typically create the money supply for new loans, and they issue that out. And this kind of loan system, I think if you're a Bitcoiner or like a crypto person, I think we might consider this type of thing as a type of financial slavery in a way, because some people have the ability to print money and some people don't. So there's this kind of, one point is maybe this ethical thing that people would think that maybe Bitcoin is a more ethical money. And it's a more fair monetary system.
For example, US market during COVID, they printed a lot of money.
Yes.
But what happened, you saw it caused a lot of inflation.
Yes. And the thing about Bitcoin is you can't print more. So it's a finite supply. So then it's a sound money, basically. Similar maybe to gold. I don't like calling it digital gold because I don't think it is. But it's a sound money, right? So kind of like this trade against the fiat system. So let's say there can be this ethical point, but then let's say about the trade against the fiat system. And I think that's really where the value is coming from, because it is marked in dollars, right? So like, the more or the less, let's say, the more faith people have in Bitcoin and the less faith they have in the dollar or the price of Bitcoin to go up.
Bitcoin, you only have, did they say there's only, how many?
21 million.
So if out of nowhere 50 million somehow come in the market, there's no possible way, or is there?
It's impossible with the current Bitcoin network. Somebody could fork the code and create a new Bitcoin with double supply, but it's not Bitcoin. It's Bitcoin something else, right? And then it gets into the thing about like why. Well, like you often hear this argument, like why Bitcoins? I can just create a coin. People can create a coin, right?
Because you see that a lot of coins.
You can create a coin, but like who's going to buy it?
Yeah, it's the same. You can create a so-called currency.
Yeah, I can create like dollar 2.0, right? I'm like, well, apart from me going to jail for doing it, it's like, who's going to buy it? Who's going to sell their house to me for my own dollars, right? You know. Right?
True.
So like it's the same thing with crypto. That's also I find crypto fascinating, because it's a technology, but it's also a social technology, because it requires people to believe in it. And a lot of cryptos are like that. They're kind of almost like religions in some ways, because like people need to believe in it. And this whole thing actually with crypto can be looked at a bit like the Reformation in Europe, where like I'm not big into analogies, but I think this one's nice. Like we had like the Catholic Church back in the day, and that was the power. And now we have central banks. They are the power. Okay. So when Martin Luther came and like printed up his, 100 posters to proclaim like that the church is bad and all this, right? Then like Satoshi can be similar. It's kind of like Bitcoin is like the invention of the printing press in a way. He's using this technology, the internet technology.
Because I mean, to back before you had the gold standard, right?
Yes.
Like the currency were backed by gold, and then they went off the gold standard, and
the Bretton Woods stuff. Yeah.
But what if people stop believing in Bitcoin?
Yeah.
Then there's no valuation, basically. If people stop believing in it,
absolutely.
Then there's for example, I mean, real estate, people need always to live in a house, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you can, for example, you're not a fan of the financial system, but you still need to live in a place.
Yeah, sure.
How can you get that place?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, definitely real and tangible things have a value proposition as well.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but I think money as an abstract concept, like, also has a value proposition, right? But I totally agree with you, like, especially a house is a place to live for yourself.
Yeah.
So I think there's two things here. One is like, okay, I have a house, I'm going to buy it, I'm going to live in it.
Yeah.
I mean, that makes a lot of sense. A house as an investment, though, okay? Yeah, it's good, all right, definitely good, but it's a competition then with Bitcoin as an investment. It's a different type of investment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think with for me, what I feel with Bitcoin, there's not much you can do actually, because you just have to I mean, of course you can do trading and read the lines, but you just have to wait on the market.
Yeah, exactly.
What's going to happen?
That's the goal.
Yeah, and you just wait for appreciation.
Yes.
But let's say you buy now for 100K, and okay, maybe in 5 years you're gonna go to 200K.
Yeah.
You have a 2x, right?
Yeah.
But there's also a higher downside risk. It could also go to 10K, or 50K.
Yeah, there is a risk on the downside. I mean, it's a risk. There is like definitely, but as an asymmetric risk, I don't think there's anything like it.
Yeah, but
I understand your point.
Yeah, so it's what I see is more like appreciation. Like okay, you like you invest on the appreciation. So with no cash flow, you can generate.
Yeah. Now, like some people do, like MicroStrategy or this like they call it a yield. It's not a yield.
Yeah,
but they're taking their loans, big loans, and then they are like buying more Bitcoin with it, right?
Yeah.
And they're counting on appreciation. I think like you can buy treasuries, right? You can buy US treasuries or something, and then you'll get your percentage yields on that. Or you can buy Bitcoin, right? Yeah. And then you can just see that the dollar gets devalued over time, and you can hold your Bitcoin. So like it's a trade.
Yeah, it's a trade. I would for me, I would put Bitcoin more in. I would compare it more to investing in stocks or like bonds or crypto than actual real estate. I think for me because real estate, more kind of a few things that make it, especially in the United States, that make it unique because you can use leverage from you can, with your knowledge, you can get a better deal. You can negotiate with other people.
Okay.
Because for me, it's kind of hard to buy from you with Bitcoin cheaper than the market value.
Yeah, you can leverage your Bitcoin.
You can leverage your Bitcoin, but it's hard to buy. Okay, you have Bitcoin market value. How can you get 75% discount on that market value? It's kind of impossible.
Yeah, like there was this thing in Korea, like it was called kimchi premium, like with Bitcoin, where you could buy Bitcoin cheaper abroad and sell it into Korea. So there is actually, but that's only because of the regulatory rules and stuff. But I get your point, yeah. But I mean, okay, there is no, let's say, rent coming from Bitcoin, right? Basically,
no cash flow,
right?
And no forced appreciation. For example, this apartment, this kitchen.
Yes.
I renovated kitchen.
Yes.
And therefore I add value to the property and the price goes up.
Sure.
So I think, in my opinion, I would put Bitcoin more versus stocks because they're kind of like passive investments.
I strongly disagree with that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think Bitcoin is anything like stocks.
Or bonds or
maybe a bit
or
like
dollar,
bonds,
just like dollar. Just put it in.
You see, a company can go to zero.
Yeah, true. A Bitcoin also.
It's not really possible, I think, at this point. I think it's like gold going to zero.
Or like, let's say ETF. Let's put in ETF. ETF is not going to go to zero.
A Bitcoin ETF will not go to zero.
Like S&P 500 will never go to zero. That means the whole economy will.
Yeah.
So I would not like to an ETF S&P 500.
there's still like, I think, more risk in that because like, let's say if there's another financial crisis or something like this, right? In the US, like in 2008, like a really bad one. Okay. Like ETFs are like, do they really have your Bitcoin or do they really have your gold? You know, like there's also this question,
Yeah, that's
you know,
the thing. Where do you keep the
whereas
money?
when I have my Bitcoin, like I have my Bitcoin, you know,
That's
so
true.
like there are some subtle differences here that could, and that's one of the things that gives Bitcoin kind of this value
This
edge.
competitive edge.
Yeah,
because you own it.
You have it, right? You know,
And
so
it's get taken away from you.
yeah, exactly. It's kind of impossible because
Yeah.
you can actually memorize your
But
phrases.
sometimes you see like they freeze these bitcoins. Like if they're, for example, if someone is doing illegal stuff, there's sometimes this header like, oh, they took their bitcoins from exchanges.
Yes,
But if you have it in your wallet,
it's impossible. Yeah.
Why would people keep it in the exchange then?
Because like well, it happened a lot in the past because a lot of people were not very technical,
Yeah.
and then you needed some kind of technical skill to keep it in a wallet. Not much, but you need some.
Yeah.
And then a lot of the people who were, honestly, if I say, I think we're just not very smart. Like you know, like some people like who made like a. I mean, they might be smart in some other way, right?
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like,
But that was not a smart move.
yeah. It's not a smart move, right?
Yeah.
So but I think this actual aspect of your own ownership, right, is really important in Bitcoin. It really gives it some kind of value that other it's real estate, you own it, but then at the same time,
you're
the
depending
government.
you're depending on the government. Take it very easy. For
Yes, right.
you. If you pay your mortgage,
Yeah.
or if you don't pay your debts, the debt
Yeah.
collector is going to take your house.
And then there's
That's
also
very simple.
there's risk with real estate, like about property tax that can be increased, you know, more and more.
True.
And you have to deal with tenants if you're using it as an investment, which is
It's a headache.
a headache, right? Like
Yeah.
there's
I
like
understand.
yeah, they are just like different types of investments. I'm not going to like, you know, thrash on real estate
Yeah.
because I think it has certainly can be, especially in areas, can be a really valuable investment. For me, the big thing about why I don't invest in real estate is that when I think real estate, like it's already like so many markets are saturated in that like they've been pumped up by the boomer generation, the previous generations. They've all been buying it. So when you buy real estate, like I feel you're kind of buying boomers' bags, basically.
Yeah.
You know, but when I buy crypto, like I buy Solana or something.
But the thing is, but it was before like, oh, governments are printing money.
Yes.
Inflation is going to happen. If inflation is happening, real estate prices are going to go up.
Yes.
So that's the thing of like, if the government is printing money, real estate prices go up.
Yes.
That's for sure, because if there's inflation, the market of real estate will go up and rents are also going up.
Right. If you have low rates, basically.
If the will go up because of inflation, and price also goes up. Yeah, of course your rates can also go up if you were lucky and you had a cheap rate.
Okay. Yeah.
In 2020 or 21.
Yeah.
Yeah, then you saw it, you know?
Yeah.
Okay. There, government is printing money. That's what happened in 2020, 2021. During COVID, real estate had a huge boom, but also crypto.
What happens if the government then, like, let's say, goes broke, if the debt gets too big, and if they service the debt anymore? Let's take a look at this scenario. Let's say like the government cannot service the debt, which is totally.
But then for real estate, you always keep the value of, because what the thing is, it costs so much material and labor just to rebuild the house. That will always, like a cost of, even if you have just the land to replicate this apartment, it will cost a certain amount of money.
Yeah.
So you always keep that. For me, it will be impossible that real estate goes to zero, because to replicate that house is going to cost you like 100K, for example.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Like a house will always have some value.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering what happens in a financial crisis, you know? Like, let me just before we get into that.
Yeah.
Like, we don't know what happens to Bitcoin if there's a financial crisis either, because it's never happened. But Bitcoin was made actually in the financial crisis as an alternative. That's actually the best reason we have why Satoshi made Bitcoin, was to provide an alternative, basically. Yeah. But we don't know
what's going to happen,
because he could be wrong. Yeah. I mean, but he seems to be a pretty smart guy, so like it's hard to know. But I'm wondering what happens. So I think if there's a financial crisis, my guess is what happens to Bitcoin is it crashes like crazy.
Yeah,
and
like
then
a 40% drop.
Maybe like an 80 or 90% drop.
And then people start buying.
And then it just goes like crazy right up. But I'm wondering what happens to real estate in this type of thing. If there's a collapses, basically. Like if the financial system collapses. Like in 2008. But like they
I mean, what you saw what happened, like a lot of foreclosures.
Yeah.
A lot of people lost their house.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's risk, you know?
Right.
But there's still this foundation as well. It's like, it's not that properties will go to zero. But a lot of people are going to default on their loans. A lot of people are, but then financial crisis, it was also because they were having all these loan packages. There was some crazy shit, and that now is it's less tricky. So, but of course, if there's a big financial crisis, people will lose their home. But then there will other people, probably rich people, will buy all the houses. That's what happened, because if I see real estate prices are going down, and I know the rent is I can rent it for this price. Yeah. Then I know I can cash flow that, and then at this price I'm gonna cash flow this. Then I'm gonna buy it. Right.
So that's kind of what I'm hoping, because I'm hoping that it does happen. Yeah. And then I still have my Bitcoin at that time. Yeah. And I can hold on to it, and I can be like, okay, now I'm going to I'm going to invest. It'll be like a good opportunity to invest in me. That's kind of the way I look at it, actually. Yeah. I'm kind of waiting for this crash,
But what if it doesn't come? Then you miss out on the.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I'll definitely, as I was mentioning earlier, I'm going to buy a place in Japan.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Just as a base. Yeah. But we're planning to travel a lot. Yeah. At the same time, UAE, US, wherever, to business. But real estate. I think for me, I'm interested in it. Mm. But I don't feel like the timing is right at the moment. For me, anyway. Yeah. Where I'm going and traveling and stuff.
However, if you you made a lot of money in crypto, and you have a lot of money in crypto, is it not smart to not put all your eggs in one basket?
Yeah, you see, I'm a bit crazy like that.
Yeah, right. I am a bit. You can diversify.
I agree with you. I am. You see, I actually was never really interested in money, honestly. When I was younger, and I only got interested in money. They say a funny thing. I've read it on Twitter or something. Someone said, are retards who just figured out how money works. And I kind of fall into that category. I think and I was never really too crazy interested in money, but when I discovered Bitcoin, it really made me interested in money. Because I was like, hey, hold on.
You saw the money, the value going up.
I saw the value going up. But
it's your wallet goes up as well.
Well, that too. It was you can buy stuff. That's nice, But I was also kind of wait, some people can just print money. Yeah. I mean, it's not as simple as that.
Yeah, but some governments
it's kind of like that. Yeah. And then we all have to work for money. And so I got very interested in money, and I think a lot of people are like that. Yeah. I think one of the great things Bitcoin has done is make a lot of people interested in wealth and money.
And give this alternative view and realize, hey, what is the government doing, and should we believe everything they say, or be a bit more critical? Yeah. Take your destiny in your own hands.
Exactly. Kind of. Yeah. And it's a very empowering thing, actually. It's a great thing.
For me, in general, crypto people are always interesting people. I find they're smart. They like take risk. They're entrepreneurial. In general, I would say, of course, it depends. But this is the real ones. Of course, for me, I don't qualify someone that owns 1,000, 2,000 euros, a crypto guy. If you have just small money in crypto, you just start buying if 1,000, 2,000 euros. But I'm talking more about people that made a living out of it and made a career out of it. Yeah, they're special.
I literally have $1,000 in the bank, and everything else in crypto always like that. Yeah. So I have money I need for day-to-day stuff. Yeah. And I'm not I'm not super frugal, but I'm not a big spender either. Yeah. I really am in this world. Yeah. I'm outside of the financial system, really.
How do you get your money into the financial system, and how if you want to disclose, how do you do it with taxes?
Sure. Taxes, I'm a resident in Japan, so we have to pay all our taxes there. And then I spend less than 6 months in any one place where I'm traveling, or obey the laws. So I don't have to stuck for taxes. Yeah. And then I also don't sell my large crypto. Like
Yeah.
I haven't sold it like at all. I'm just very careful about how my expenditure.
And where
And
do
we
you
get
get the-
paid in fiat in Japan, our company. So we have contracts, so we get like fiat payments. Actually, I avoid as much as possible to
So fiat payments, so could you explain?
yeah, I mean, we get paid in, like, we do consulting work. So, like, we'll build a platform or build something, and then we will get, like, just paid
in Japanese
yen. Yeah.
So you get your cash flow in
Yeah.
yen, and then you transfer it
Yes.
like wherever, and then you can use it.
Yeah, and our sales on our platform that we've made so far, like, actually haven't sold anything. They're all sitting in the wallets still.
I see.
Yeah. So when the time comes, though, we will figure out how we're going to do that. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
And what do you think of these altcoins and the Trump coin, all these coins that are popping up? Like,
Yeah,
I mean, you hear a lot of scammer stories and people that
and Web3
pump and
pumped fun. Yeah, I mean, I was pumped up fun quite a lot, doing buying and selling meme coins and stuff like this, like just for fun. So the one thing I'd say about cryptos, just from a technical point of view, there are a lot of people don't understand this. There are actually only two types of cryptos, right? There are native crypto tokens, and then there are token contract tokens, right? So a native token is something like Bitcoin or Ethereum or Solana.
Yeah.
Those are tokens that are used to power the network, right? So
the whole system.
Yeah. So I would say like Ethereum, like Bitcoin, and Solana recently has been very popular.
The solid ones.
These are very solid coins. Now, not to say they can dig down a lot, right?
But compared to
like they're not scams.
Yeah.
They are if you're buying it, you're investing in that infrastructure.
Yeah.
And it's kind of cool because you're investing like a part of the block space of and the network is everything. It's the company behind it.
It's basically Apple, the Google.
It is,
of the crypto.
Yeah, and these cryptos they're used for payment on that blocks if you want to run a smart contract, do some operation, you're using those native tokens, right? And tokens, which are often like scammy tokens. Are made in a smart contract, so they don't have any utility natively on this. They're just like it's just a contract that says basically like this is a token. There's
so much supply.
So much supply, and I can print more if I want or not. You know, so you got to make that distinction. Some of them are very good because some of them are scams. Like the vast majority are scams, right? Because like there's like 10,000 meme coins or something. I mean, it's ridiculous. Like but like with some of the other good projects, the tokens are more like a stock. They represent like a stock in
like a company.
Really, that's really their equity. Yeah. So if it's there are a lot of good crypto companies, like a lot of very good ones. But you got to get in. You got to understand. You got to see who the founders are, what they're doing. Look at some of their interviews. See their products. Use their products because like you want to use those products to see if they're good or not. But it is the future. Like I have a strong conviction in this that it's the future financial rails of the world. Basically, everything's going to be done on this. That's a no-brainer. There's no way people are going to be using banks. Like once you get into crypto, like you're like, what is the bank do? What do I need a bank for? You know?
And I think now with the Trump presidency, I mean he's openly, like he's pro crypto. I mean, his first term, he was like a kind of, I don't know, was not really a big fan of it. But now he was that guy, he wants to even put like a crypto, like, I don't know, ambassador or like someone that's like going to look at the market.
They have this guy now who's quite very pro crypto. I think like, I think crypto won Trump the election because there's a lot of people who crypto is a single voting issue. And they could be Democrats or they could be Republicans, but the Democrats were strongly against, and everybody knew that they were trying to kill the industry. So I think like he was able to swing a lot of voters,
and also got a lot of money.
A lot of money, as well. But but not as much as like Kamala got from the traditionals, of course, right? But still enough. And I think the big thing was the votes. There were a lot of swing voters that voted him just because of this. So
what do you think? What kind of impact it will have?
It will have a massive impact. I think. It's going to
because if you think if Kamala had won,
if Kamala had won, it would have been disastrous for the United States. I think because it would have pushed the industry outside of the U.S. To other countries like UAE and to Singapore and other very pro crypto countries. But I think of this, like he really, like Trump has said, he wants to make it the capital of crypto in the world.
So now it's like
I mean, you can see some interviews about it, but like they were debanking crypto people in the US and companies, right? So
that's
now,
a big thing.
If you
it's like I'm not going to put my money there.
Exactly.
If they debank
I mean, it's scary, right?
Yeah.
So like, who's going to invest if you're going to get debanked, right? So I think like it's massive for the industry because now we have a green light, and now like Europe also looks like kind of falling behind, because before Europe would look like they were getting ahead because they had regulation and MiCA and that, but they're quite restrictive regulations. But the US regulation is going to be really unrestrictive, I think, in comparison. Especially now. Great for crypto. Whatever you think about politics for crypto, it's great for the industry.
Yeah, I mean, if you go against it, it's going to be good for the crypto.
Totally. I mean, I wasn't thinking about moving to the US, but like now I am, right? You know, like, so it's big things for sure.
Cool. And I just want to touch a bit about like because we both lived in Asia.
Yeah.
So you've been in Japan for, you said?
I think like 11 years, 10 years, like that. A long time, basically. Yeah.
And I haven't been that long. I've been in China for 3 years.
Right.
Just like living in because you've been living in Ireland, Spain. Yeah, actually, we didn't.
I lived in the Netherlands for 2 years.
Netherlands?
Yeah, in Utrecht.
Utrecht?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So I loved Utrecht. It's beautiful. I lived lots of different countries.
Actually, I forgot to tell like how we met. We met 2 years ago here in Barcelona at a startup event.
Yes.
There were not that many interesting people. I just like that was a startup event, and but it was it was early stage startup kind of vibe. But
I just did Barcelona a couple of weeks.
Me too.
You too, right?
Yeah,
so,
I just arrived. So that's how we connected.
Yeah.
So to go back to the topic, Asia versus Europe, like how do you compare life living there and here?
I think like Japan was, I've never lived in China, so I anywhere else really in Asia, so I don't know well, but I think Japan is, you also said it when you visited recently, it's a bit like a Europe or Western Asian.
For me it was like Scandinavia of Asia. That's how I felt. So everything was super well arranged. Yeah,
so it is kind of like that, and then also like the regulatory scene from business is also quite restrictive in that regard. That's kind of the negative side, I would say, of it, that there's a bit too much restriction, but at the same time, like I love it. It's really, the people are amazing. They're super nice, and like the quality of services and goods and food, the quality of apartments, like everything is super high. So it's lived, but I think it's very different from, let's say, China. Extremely different, like probably in terms of business and the way you go about doing things, you know.
Yeah, but business, I don't know business in Japan, but for me, it's different, definitely. That's for me personally. I missed that a bit in Japan. It's like what I like from Asia is like a bit more chaotic. And like the street food you have everywhere, and like there's unexpected things happening. So that's for me. That was like a little bit what I missed from
It's
Japan.
a bit too Swiss. Maybe.
It was too Swiss because. I mean, back home, Netherlands, it's very well organized, and then what I like from China, you have like this random stuff happening.
It's a bit mad, crazy.
Also organized, but then you have like some weird stuff happening in the street. You know, you have go to your supermarket there, and they have this fish, and it's just like there. It's just that if you've been to China, then. If you go to China, you will see there's a difference.
I think like Osaka in Japan is a bit more wild.
It's a more similar, but
more fun.
Yeah, it's I liked Osaka a lot.
Yeah, Osaka's really fun.
Yeah.
And it's more like street markets and stuff like this, and a bit more wild. Especially nighttime is a bit more lively.
Yeah.
Tokyo could be a bit like cold. Like I often noticed in Tokyo, like in the Starbucks or something, it's like a library. Like nobody talks. It's really quiet. Like,
and in China, it's like. You hear noise all the time.
Right.
If in a metro, people talk a lot. But that's maybe for some people it's too much because they're quite expressive.
Right. So
they're the opposite from each other.
Yeah, so it's very different, I think. But Tokyo, very quiet, very calm. But when you go down south to like even to Nagoya or to Osaka, it's getting much more lively. I think. Yeah, a bit more in some way, maybe. You know. Yeah.
And compared to life in Europe.
Yeah, man, it's so different. Like I just think the quality of services is one of the big things. Like anything you do, like earlier, for example, I was telling you, I wanted to buy like a smart SD card. I went to the shop here and I was like, hey, I brought the camera. I was like,
is
this the correct one for this camera? And the guy's like, yeah. It's correct, right? And it wasn't right. And like in Japan, just that would never happen.
Yeah,
it just wouldn't happen. It's like there's other things like in our apartment, for example. These are small, but they all add up.
Of course.
Like the hot water on the top is actually cold water, and the cold water is hot water.
It's the other way around.
And they probably think like it's all right, like you're gonna work it out.
But it's
like,
in the details.
The details, but like never gonna happen in Japan. Basically. Ever, never, like has never happened ever. So like, you got to kind of get the mindset into it, like just the way people think. Like it has to be. They're perfectionists. Like everything is perfect, basically, right? And it's one of the. This is not just me. A lot of foreigners who've lived in Japan, after you've experienced and lived there for a long time, it's very hard to go back. Because you come back and you're like,
it's not as good.
You're kind of like
spoiled,
but you're kind of like someone does some job or some service. You're like, that's not right. And they're like looking at you like you're the problem. Right? So it's just like expectations are
because if you're to this kind of standard, and then you go to another place that they just have a lower standard. Then you kind of know, okay, you don't want to be spoiled, but in the back of your mind, you have it could be better.
If
you've experienced it, it's better.
So you know it, so it's kind of challenging. But like at the same time, I don't want to be a dick complaining about everything all the time, right? So it's just different. Things are different. There was some other examples of stuff like this. Well, of course, like subway and transportation. But Spain is very good, though. Spain is very good.
The transport, the metro is good. Trains are not good.
Okay.
I mean, for Europe, they're okay.
Yeah, I think they're pretty good.
But compared to Japanese train, high speed, and China. If you look, I mean, in China, from Amsterdam, so the Shanghai, Beijing, you can do in 4.5 hours. That's from here, from Barcelona to Paris, 4.5 hours.
4.5, crazy.
I mean, if you take the train, it takes 15 hours or something.
Well, I did it from Paris to Barcelona to TGV. It was 6.5 hours, but the train broke down halfway, so it ended up being like nearly 9 hours.
Right. How much did you pay?
I can't remember.
Because I was looking at tickets
but that's another thing.
It's expensive.
I've never seen a train break down in Japan ever. And like I've used a lot of trains. So I've used bullet train like over 100 times, I'm sure.
I think for Europe, Europe has a lot of potential, but you made this analogy before, like they're kind of stuck in their past glory. And US and Asia are like moving ahead
big time
of Europe, and then there's like this internal conflict. Oh, should we be pro, like everything together, pro EU, but then you have like the countries that have different mindset, different cultures. And also for example, Netherlands, Poland, Spain. These are countries within EU, but everyone has their own language, completely different culture. Different mindset. It makes it more difficult to have this aligned future, and that people think, okay, this is the way to go forward.
I mean, it's a discussion. We could probably have another.
There's another podcast.
If I just say my comment on it quickly is like I don't think the structure we have at the moment in Europe is good. Like we don't elect Europe. We don't have a president. It's very hard to change the course of things in Europe. Because it's not elected directly by the people. There's no direct democracy. It's weird. It's like kind of like back end democracy. It's bad.
And nobody knows who is in parliament.
It's much closer to the Chinese way than, if you get where I'm going with this, than the American way. At least in America, like love him or hate him.
Who's hating? Who's running the country?
Yeah, exactly. And you can change it because you had Biden and you can vote for Trump, or vice versa. But I think you can't do that with Europe, actually, and I think that's the problem.
It's a backroom politics.
Yes.
But of course, you can vote for your person in the country, but then they want to check certain things, but they're stuck to European regulation as well. That's also a thing, right? Because, for example, we elected kind of like Wilders is his name. He's
Wilders, yeah.
very strict on immigration.
Yes.
I mean, yeah, you can like him, dislike him, but he got elected, and they formed a parliament with other parties, and they want to be strict on immigration. But certain things they wanted to do, they were not allowed because they got stopped by the EU.
Yeah.
So that's also a thing for the countries. It's like, okay, we want to have one Europe, but at the same time, we don't want to give away too much power because we lose our sovereignty.
Yeah, and I think the countries have been giving away a lot of their power without really realizing what they're doing as well. But yeah, I mean, it's I actually plan to leave Europe anyway.
Yeah.
So,
You're going.
I'll go to Japan for a while. I'm going to go to UAE.
Yeah.
So I quite like UAE actually. You know what I like about UAE is like the people, like the mindset.
Everyone has the same mindset.
The mindset is good.
I agree.
It's nice. Like
for me, I've visited there. It doesn't have that much culture. But what I like is that people like all come like, hey, I come here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna for my life. Progressive.
Yeah.
Not like, okay, this is the fault from this person, it's the fault from the government.
Right.
So expensive, and I just want money and I don't want to do anything.
Yeah.
Like
I'm very impressed with what they've built there as well.
Yeah,
because
in a short amount of time.
In a short amount, like we might have, or I also had this impression back then. It's kind of like a city they built in the desert. They're trying to do something, But it's actually like a thriving community and city that they have built successfully.
And very inclusive. Are there. So that makes it also cool because you're not really a foreigner.
No. Yeah.
Because everyone is a foreigner. Yeah. Like the local people, just 15%.
Yeah.
And the rest, they're all expats.
Yeah. So I think it's a fascinating place, and I like it.
For me, it attracts me as well to go there. But for me, at the same, but not. I don't see myself living there the rest of my life.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it can be. Also, the weather could be very difficult.
I like warm weather though.
Okay. Well, do you like it? But I mean, I like Hawaii actually. Hawaii is really nice. I love these. Like Okinawa is really nice. There's lots of nice places I'd like to live. But I mean, you got to do business as well. You got to make a living. You got to live and all this. So there's so much to consider. Yeah.
So to jump to the topic, like the future of crypto and real estate, and where do we see where can they?
Yeah, that's an interesting
together?
topic. I talked about this with a few different people. Like I think
if you have tokenized real estate, it's already a thing.
Yeah.
But it's small. It's not.
It's a small thing.
Yeah.
But I think basically, let's take a look 20 years in the future, even just 10 years in the future. I think almost all transactions will be done on crypto in one shape or form or another. And
maybe contracts through blockchain.
Yes, everything will be. You want to
with combined with AI. How do you see that?
Yeah, again, it can get more complicated. But AI can be used to find the best pricing, the best broker, all this type of stuff. Like AI can do all sorts of wild things, right? I think basically, I want to rent this place. Okay, you go to maybe you use this blockchain AI app to find a really good, the best place for you, best price that works for you. But when you book it, you do it on blockchain. You pay the rent on blockchain, or you buy it on blockchain, and the transactions then what will happen is once you do the payment, it immediately splits the transaction into all the different tools who will get paid. So if you have if you have 10,000 investors on the blockchain who own this property, they all get their equal share automatically of the thing. And all this accounting stuff, it's just
so much easier.
And once you see it working on blockchain, you're man, this stuff is so powerful.
Because actually for me, that in Spain, I can tell you how it works, to buy property, right? So first, if you want to make an offer, you have to send a reservation fee to the. You have to send 3,000 euros or 2,000 euros to make an offer on a property to this random agency. You know what? You don't know what they're gonna do with your money. And if you put certain clauses in the contract, contingencies. They're if you don't buy the property, we just keep it.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
So it's not very secure. Yeah. And then if you want to make the 10% down payment, you have to send it to the seller here in Spain. In most countries, you send it to the that's already a third party.
Yes.
But here you send it to the seller. So you transfer 10% to the seller, 50K. What happens if that person dies? What happens if he goes bankrupt or just moves or just runs away to Thailand?
That's like your deposit on the purchase.
Yeah,
right?
your deposit. That's like a lot of money.
Yeah, sure.
And there's no, and then if they give the property, they have to pay double back.
Okay.
But but yes, you can go to a debt collector, but still you need to collect that money.
See, that's the beautiful thing about smart contracts, because when you put something in a smart contract, it's there, but like you can have a claim to take it back no matter what, right? Or it can be like there could be an arbiter that votes on it and says that, and if they do, then you get it back, right?
Yeah, or,
so you can
or it gets frozen.
Exactly.
The money gets frozen until like there's a verdict.
Exactly. Yeah, that's actually how I've implemented my platform I built. I talked about earlier. It has this system in it.
So I think for real estate, I mean, you have this kind of structure where notaries fill that role. Here in Spain, it's not the case, but this could be digitalized.
Absolutely. I think like the thing is like there's going to be huge resistance to do this
because a lot of people
are working this, right? You know, and like they don't want to lose their jobs.
The notaries, you send them, I mean, at least maybe they can still be there to manage the transaction, but the workforce will be way slimmer.
Yeah.
Because everything will be in this platform, and instead of like have 20 people working at the notary, maybe you have 2 or 3.
Yeah. So I think like AI and blockchain are going to eliminate so much pain in cost, and also like increase the
bureaucracy goes away,
and like just the efficiency increases dramatically, like the orders of magnitude.
We have already seen that with AI coming.
Yeah.
Basically, it's now 2 years that ChatGPT is like mainstream kind of.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, I remember the day it came, like the weeks it came out. I started using it. I was like, wow! Like my productivity went times.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah,
and now I
use it a lot too.
I cannot live without it. Basically.
Yeah, it's like it's an order of magnitude better than Google, or 2 orders of magnitude better than Google, right?
Yeah. Google is actually a big loser. From this, because if you look now, I'm searching way more on ChatGPT or other AI tools instead of like searching on Google.
Yeah, that's tech, man. It moves so fast.
Yeah, you have to fast.
I could see it working in Google. I could see it like it was kind of going for wrong. That's one of the reasons I quit as well. Like not too much like bureaucracy in the company. But it moves real fast, and it's going to move faster and faster and faster. It's hard to, just like what happened with ChatGPT, like these moments are going to be coming more and more as technology progresses.
Definitely. So if you will be like a beginner investor now, and you have, let's say, 50K or like 100K, what should you do? Should you put it in Bitcoin or should you invest in real estate? At this moment.
Well, what can you buy with 50K in real estate?
As a down payment.
That's a tough one, man. Like, I think like if it's somewhere you want to live in, it makes sense.
As an investment.
I would definitely personally buy crypto. Yeah, I'm not financial advice, but that's what I would do. I mean, obviously, right? I mean, but like
even for 100K.
And if I didn't know
for like the 100K price now.
100K. Oh
because now the value is 100K.
Yeah, I mean now we're
kind of like half a Bitcoin
in the bull market, so I wouldn't rush. That's one thing to do anything, because I think like Bitcoin's going to go up, it's going to come down, and you could just like dollar cost average even, or you could, but I would just buy Bitcoin.
So you would dollar cost average instead of putting it in one sum.
Yeah, I mean actually, I mean, it depends on your circumstance. Right? I'd probably just buy Bitcoin and I can just leave it there,
But let's say just a beginner investor.
Beginner
investor that 50K in savings, I want to put my money into work.
Well, what's your risk appetite? That's another question. You have a strong risk. If you don't have a strong risk appetite, I would say Bitcoin is a very safe bet. Even at 100K, I think it's pretty safe. But if I had a stronger risk appetite, I would probably start looking at buying Solana within selling it later this year, right? Because I think Solana is going to run up this year.
Okay.
Well, but if I'm looking at it, 5 years out, I would just buy Bitcoin, and that's probably what I would do. Actually, just buy Bitcoin and leave it.
Cool.
Yeah.
For me, the answer. What I would do, I would buy a fixer upper. Get a loan, buy a fixer upper, and just fix up the place. Maybe put some or do it yourself, but that's like kind of active investing. So let's say you have other people fixing it up, and then I would or try to flip it, or just rent it out and wait till the market depreciates.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. The whole flipping thing is like interesting for sure. I would be interested in getting into it when the market is right.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
Okay, I think like we discussed a lot.
Yeah.
Thank you so much,
thanks
Cormac. And where can people find you?
Well, on LinkedIn, or like that's probably the easiest way, to contact me, or Twitter. I can't remember my Twitter ID.
I will put a link for your LinkedIn. So
yeah.
thank you for watching, and see you next time. Wish you good luck in UAE and Japan, and maybe we can do an episode in Japan. Who knows, or like somewhere else in the world.
That would be cool.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Cheers. Thanks.